Afenyo Markin, the man in the center of all this, is about to address the media. It's on your screens right now. Let's listen in.
Business of, I'm not a seer, and not the business of preempting the decision of the court. And so the decision of the court is just tomorrow. My only prayer is that all of us will be alive tomorrow to listen to what the court will say. That's it. What do you make of the decision of the speaker? No comment. But that's why we are here.
Okay, leader. I mean, yeah, leader.
I would address something generally.
Okay. We'll hear shortly from the majority leader, Afenyo Markin. Proceedings are just concluded in court. Arguments have been made. The substantive matters have been heard. The majority leader will now speak.
Basically, I would go outside of the law and talk a bit of politics and nation building. I humbly hold a view that as a political class, we owe a duty to ensure the peace of the country and to strengthen the pillars of democracy. We can only do so if we respect the law and act in a manner that the citizenry would have confidence in us. We have 3 weeks to go for an election, more or less. I think that the peace of Parliament is entirely in the hands of Mr. Speaker. If you follow the chronology of events, Mr. Speaker could have done better, considering the fact that even before initiating this action, I had gone to him to discuss the fact that Honorable Harun Idrisu had raised the matter on a political platform and the fact that we should come together and deal with the matter. He assured me that he would guide the process. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I eventually had to file the writ upon seeing the petition of Mr. Idrisu to be argued on the House floor. He again went to Mr. Speaker. That Mr. Speaker, now that you have knowledge of this petition by Honorable Harun Idrisu, does that mean that you are going to take a step? He said no. The application by Harun Idrisu would have to be admitted by him first, and that he has not admitted any motion. So I should be rest assured. Then the next stage of serving the writ on the legal directorate. There again, he gave me assurance that because of a certain circular, the directorate could not receive the process until the next Monday. Then I became alarmed when we got onto the House floor. And this time around, the petition from Harun Idrisu was not a matter in issue, but rather Honorable Atuforsen was going to invoke Order 93 to make a statement. We said, okay, fair enough, let's see what will happen. I tried to engage my colleagues on the other side. But you see, they were hell-bent on the politics they wanted to do that day. And from all the actions, it was clear that Mr. Speaker was in the know of whatever they were going to do. So he just called Dr. Atuforsen, and he came out with this thing. We argued it, and unfortunately, Mr. Speaker announced that he was going to give a ruling on Thursday, when he had assured me that he wasn't going to give a ruling, but because of the court process and all that, he was going to wait so that we all abide by the reasoning of the court. Because according to him, the matter was a constitutional matter. So for me, it was a big surprise that Mr. Speaker would go out of his way to make a ruling, which immediately made the NDC proclaim themselves to be majority, although he himself continued to address me as a majority leader. Fast forward, we came to court, the court intervened, and now the new argument of Mr. Speaker was that he didn't give a ruling. He only gave an opinion. He expressed a view on the matter. he met us on Tuesday, the 22nd of October, at a pre-sitting meeting. And at the pre-sitting meeting, I told Mr. Speaker that, well, you are saying you have received the court process and that you have not declared the NDC the majority. Now that they are sitting on our seat, what are you going to do, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker told me that that is the responsibility of the clerk. He later repeated the same thing to the Council of State and the Peace Council. The clerk to Parliament made sure that he had arranged our seat, the majority caucus, our seat, at where we are supposed to sit, the right of Mr. Speaker. Placed our name tags there. The NDC came to remove them. Mr. Speaker was aware of this. He watched and continued with the proceedings, where I think Mr. Speaker failed the nation and failed our democracy. And I do so with utmost respect. Some of the NDC guys are trying to suggest that expressing my view on his conduct amount to disrespect. Let me state it clear that I will be the last person, I repeat, Afenyo Markin, will be the last person to disrespect Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker should not think that he's a king. He's an emperor. He's not an emperor. He's a democrat. Therefore, he shouldn't be too sensitive to divergent views and opposing views. What he's doing, in all humility, is wrong. So my friends in the NDC should open their eyes and ask themselves, if they were the ones at the receiving end, how would they react? The NDC would have raised hell on this matter. But we have been calm in all of these. All right? Now, again, another opportunity presented itself on the 7th of November when Mr. Speaker enforced our recall petition. And again, he knew that the only contention was for the NDC minority to move to their seats. Dr. Atuforsen said, well, for them, it was Mr. Speaker's announcement that made them behave the way they were behaving. So until Mr. Speaker makes an announcement, they will move. Dr. Forsen said it at the pre-sitting meeting and then raised it again in another forum. On the news file program on Saturday, Mr. Sami Jemfi, who is a lawyer and the head of communication of the party, said that, well, they know about the Supreme Court ruling. However, until Mr. Speaker announces it to Parliament, they will move. So it means that the whole party machinery is on an agenda. How else should Mr. Speaker communicate? Mr. Speaker, in the sitting of 22nd of October, Tuesday, announced that he has received the ruling of the Supreme Court and explained the content of it. How else were they expecting the announcement to be made? Unless they are conniving, unless there's collusion, and Mr. Speaker wants to act as though he is not supporting what the NDC side is doing. But clearly, indeed, he is supporting them actively and constructively. Because you come into the chamber as the head of the assembly, you see one group of people sitting on somebody's seat, and you pretend you've not seen it. You've dislodged them and rather spin it to say that the majority that called for the recall had refused to be present in the chamber. To be in the chamber to sit where? Now, some people have been saying that the majority leader should have at least been in the chamber to make his point. My brothers and my sisters in the media, let's get the facts straight. If I had gone into the chamber, where was I going to stand? The proceedings in Parliament include the need to be recognized by Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker can only recognize you through your name tag. It's in our rules book. You need to stand at your place. That is what the law says in Parliament. You must stand at your place and rise at your place and get recognized. My seat has been taken by Dr. Forsen. Where should I stand as majority leader? So for those who were making those arguments, they didn't understand the proceedings of Parliament. And for anybody to suggest that the majority was not reaching out, was not building consensus, that person was really getting it wrong. Because for a whole week, I know of prominent chiefs, very prominent and respected chiefs, who engaged my side and engaged Mr. Speaker and transmitted some communication to me. I won't mention their names. They transmitted some communications to me that Mr. Speaker was in fact even going to convene Parliament without our recall application, and that I should reach out to him. I went to his residence 2 occasions. They said he was not available. Later, I communicated to that prominent chief. The prominent chief reached out to him. He picked his call, but he didn't pick my call. And then told me that, oh, Mr. Speaker says he's busy with some visiting speakers of African Parliament. So we should make it Monday morning, 10 o'clock. Monday, I spent my whole day in Parliament. Mr. Speaker was not available. Tuesday, same. Later in the afternoon, I was told that Mr. Speaker was challenging the orderliness of the court. So he has instructed his lawyers to file a motion to set it aside. So we should go to court. When we return from court, we'll see what to be done. Put that aside. The Council of State reached out to me again that they have spoken to Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker concedes that he has not made a ruling and that the NDC will move to their own seat. He gave them the assurance. Council of State communicated that to us. We said, okay, if in all of these Mr. Speaker decides to resign, what should I do? I should go and sit on the minority seat? Spiritually, it's not even good. You have 3 weeks to election. I should go and sit on minority. Is that my seat? I won't dare sit there. I will never do it. I will never do it. That's not my rightful place. I should go to minority. Spiritually, make myself a minority person. No. And bind my colleagues. We won't do that. No MPP person will do that. In any event, we were privy to certain things that we cannot make public. That if our colleagues had entered the chamber to attempt to enforce their right, perhaps we wouldn't be here. So in fact, we are decent-minded people. Yes. We respect the courts. We respect the law. Our doors are open to Mr. Speaker's call. I repeat, our doors are open to Mr. Speaker's call. Political decisions are for common sense approach. We believe in a common sense approach in solving this. And the common sense approach is for Mr. Speaker to direct the NDC side to go back to their seats. In fact, on Friday, a former majority leader who had engaged Mr. Speaker had told me that Mr. Speaker wanted to have a meeting with me. I went to his secretariat. Mr. Speaker saw me. And then he said, oh, he wants to meet the 2 leaders. I said, okay. I reached out to my colleague, Dr. Atuforsen, that Mr. Speaker wanted to meet the 2 of us. Before I could say Jack, Mr. Speaker had moved his car and left. He had left. Atu also confirmed that Mr. Speaker said he wanted to meet us. Our phones are on. Mr. Speaker has several ways of reaching out to me, either directly by his call or his aides. My phone is on. I have not received any call. I am a centrist politician. I'm a moderate politician. I'm not an extremist. I believe in consensus building. Those who know me in Parliament know how I do my politics. I don't just jump the gun. I don't just get up to say things. MPP in Parliament is bleeding. We have gone through too much hell in the hands of Mr. Speaker. We just don't talk about it. We've managed the situation for far too long. And at this point, we would call on him, Mr. Speaker, that let us end the 8th Parliament on a very happy and a very good note. Let's work together. And I want to also address a matter of importance to you, the media. I urge all of you, the media men, stop describing the MPP majority as the MPP caucus. Stop describing me as the leader of the MPP caucus. As part of your journalism, your job is to follow the law, to disseminate right information. This matter came up in the court, and I beg of you, it doesn't matter your political affiliation or how you feel as a media house. Do justice to the issues. The speaker made a pronouncement. He has turned around to say he didn't rule. He only expressed an opinion. You have a court of competent jurisdiction, which court Mr. Speaker himself subjected himself to its authority and jurisdiction. He came to challenge the first ruling. The court ruled upon after argument by his counsel. And finally the court said, no way, your ruling, your determination of the matter must stay. What else? Any media house who needs clarification must seek clarification from the court. Stop describing the majority caucus as NPP caucus. Stop doing your headlines where you will say that Afenyo Markin, the leader of NPP caucus. Afenyo Markin is the bona fide leader of parliament. He is the majority leader of parliament. And MPP remains the majority caucus because our 137 plus the one independent, that was the proclamation by law in the house, and we've remained the majority caucus as such. I will urge you, the media houses, all of you should ensure that you contribute to this sanity, because we need you. We need you. We need you. That's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Leader, will you recall the house, given all that is happening? Will you recall the house or something?
We will want to avail ourselves to Mr. Speaker's olive branch. We want Mr. Speaker to demonstrate the statesmanship that he's always known to be. On this occasion, it's been disappointing, but we will not give up, because we believe that upon reflection, Mr. Speaker will do the needful. All that the NDC guys are doing, okay, he knows about it, and he would have to call them to order. Else he will be complicit, as we see him to be. He's the head of the assembly. Parliament, no, esegu no so, the ekoso no, and yet, yes, Mr. Speaker. So ombwa na sumdwembra parliament. Oma NDC for no, and sorry fi baby omotie, and kwatena omokwenya so. Yen kwatena so, and yen yekwenya no no, yekwenya ne dia ewo ne nifa, omuti ne benkum, onkancha ne NDC for no monko. And in chase yembu no, yebu no pa, ye papa no no, na di oye no, and ye, and say ye can no kreche no. Yeah, that's it.
You've heard the majority leader who has been addressing journalists here after this very quick hearing by the Supreme Court. Today in court, the Speaker of Parliament and his lawyers have not been present, and we've had Joe Gatti leading the line for Alexander Afenyo Markin, Alfred Tuaibua, together with Attorney General and the team. There has been no representation for the Speaker of Parliament, neither did the Speaker file any processes. And so the court has heard arguments. They first heard from Joe Gatti, who led the team for Alexander Afenyo Markin, who continued to insist that if you look at the Constitution, if you interpret properly Article 97, 1G and H, it is obvious that these MPs have not lost their seats, while the Attorney General also makes the same point. And so both parties in court today have been making quite a similar point. There have been no counter because the lawyers for Speaker of Parliament hasn't been here. Ordinarily, we expected that the Supreme Court would have delivered this ruling today. The judgment is not coming today. It's coming in the next 24 hours. 9 a.m. tomorrow, the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, presiding over this 7-member panel, will come in and present their ruling and their judgment on this matter. Whether or not, by a proper interpretation of Article 97, 1G and H, these 4 MPs who have become the subject of this controversy have lost their seats or not, we will know by this time tomorrow, as the Supreme Court prepares to deliver the verdict tomorrow. So that has been our reportage, that has been our coverage from the Supreme Court, where the court has today concluded hearing on the controversy regarding the declaration of 4 seats vacant, with a judgment expected at 9 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. Faustina and the team back in the studio. That is all we have from the Supreme Court.
NPP caucus in Parliament. He wants to be addressed as the majority leader. He says the NPP caucus in Parliament is bleeding under the Speaker's rulership. Well, we'll be giving you more analysis on this. Get thoughts from lawyers, political analysts as we move to our midday bulletin, both on TV and radio. My name is Faustina Safo. Thank you so much for making time to join us. Good morning.